Welcome, travel industry professionals, to this impact webinar, Riding the Wave with Travel Influencer Marketing in Asia. The contemporary digital environment presenting significant challenge for travel brands. Today, consumers navigate an overwhelming sea of content across platforms like Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and many more. And in this competitive landscape, travel brands face a critical question. How can we differentiate ourselves and establish meaningful connection with our target audience? Influencer marketing emerged as a dynamic solution. It allows travel brands to leverage the trust and influence of established online personalities, fostering authenticity and relatability with contemporary consumers. Research by Influencer Marketing Hub in 2022 confirmed this potential, revealing that influencer marketing campaign could generate up to a remarkable return on investment of 500%. To navigate this new frontier, we joined today by industry leaders, Carly Cummins from Bali Buddies and Harry Kishan from Neo Media World, a group emergency. They provide invaluable insight on navigating influencer marketing with Asia's travel and hospitality sectors. And hopefully this session will equip you with actionable strategy for developing impactful influencer marketing campaign that resonate with Asian audiences, enhance brand visibility, and drive business growth. I just would like to say hi to Carly first. Maybe Carly, you want to give a brief introduction of yourself.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for having me today, Antoine and Impact team. So my name's Carly Cummins. I'm based in Bali. I run we blur the lines between digital media and influencer marketing called Bali Buddies. We reach our audience through our website and through the main social channels we use TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we write all about Bali and surrounds. And we target audiences that are tourists to Bali, residents to Bali, expats, and locals as well.
Lovely. Thank you. And welcome. Harry, what about you?
Thanks, Antoine. Thanks for having me here, first of all. I'm Harry Kishan. I actually lead APAC's affiliate marketing services wing of Group M. So what the agency does, what that means is we actually provide, if we set up, launch, and manage affiliate marketing services for brands within the region. If a global brand wants to launch and expand in APAC, that we handle that. We do that across all of our group of brands and all across the countries in Asia Pacific. So I currently lead the Malaysia wing, what we call it the hub part of it for Southeast Asia. I also lead the arm specifically for affiliate marketing for certain countries across Southeast Asia, Japan, Australia as well.
Amazing. Thank you for joining, Ari. So I'm amazed today. I'm pleased because I will have two perspectives. I will get the brand and agency perspective with Harry, and then the more like publisher and influencer perspective with Carly. So amazing. Maybe Carly, we can start with you first. I just want to understand, in your opinion, what is influencer marketing?
So for me, influencer marketing is using a platform outside your brand that has an audience that your brand would like to reach. And you use their marketing style and their creative approach to reach their audience, to do exactly that, influence them to try your product, follow your product, use your product from their perspective.
Cool. Thank you for that. Harry, any idea?
Yes. Quite hard to put it in simple terms, but to define it, I would say it's a strategy where the brands collaborate with certain individuals who, let's say, have a very significant and engaged following on social media, any digital platform for that matter, where they would be able to promote products, services, any campaigns, and the brand can actually leverage on the influencer's credibility and the influencer's reach of their audience to enable them, to influence them with their purchase decisions or any brand perceptions that they want to put it across.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. So clearly, from what I get from you guys, is like influencer marketing is definitely a new digital channel that we can add to, all of other channel that we know, such as paid media, display, programmatic, etc., etc. Um, Harry, I know you agency manage, a few company, including few travel brands. From your perspective, what is the challenge for them and why they decide to engage influencer and to run some influencer marketing? What is the draw here?
Challenges. I mean, where do we start, right? But I think the most basic challenges we see, or most of the brands see within the agencies that we have, is the digital saturation. Too many channels. There are so many ways you could run ads on so many different platforms. So it's very, very saturated at this point. And even for the consumers, it's a lot to take in when it comes to how much ads are being shot at them or thrown at them, and how much content is being produced. They do, I mean, the consumers do take a lot of content more than the average of, let's say, 5 years ago. But still, it's a very saturated field, I would say. Then there's the skepticism. They are more skeptical about, because there's so many lines of communication. There always is that certain doubt, like what channel is the right one that I can actually trust, kind of. And there is also always growing demand for personalized experience as well. The cookie cutter methodology doesn't work anymore. There are pockets of audiences everywhere. You want to be very targeting, very specific to those set of audiences that are looking for personal experiences, especially if we're talking about travel industry per se, and increased competition. And last but not least, I would say rapid change in consumer behavior. This is more microeconomic factors as well. Something like COVID, for example, which kills everything, and then you have the consumer behavior shift in making decisions that need to be a little bit more thought about, take more reviews from certain sets of people that are more experienced at it. So these are the kind of challenges. Of course, these challenges change on a year-to-year basis, or even on a quarterly basis, I would say. But these are the most, if I have to put them in a bucket, these are the most common ones. And why do we use influencer marketing as one of the marketing channel specifically to address these, is because of authentic engagement that most influencers have. Now, there are various types of influencers if you go down into the details, but the engagement that some of the influencers have is very, very authentic, very captivating. They have targeted reach. If you're looking at some of the mid or the bottom funnel of influencers, some of them have very targeted reach. Um, Most influencers have content that really resonates very well with their audience. They understand their audience better than probably a lot of brands and a lot of agencies as well. So we, for example, get a lot of feedback from the influencers more than the brand itself. So the influencers are the ones that educate us. And of course, you also have the flexibility, and it's very cost effective. You have different influencers are very flexible to work with, um, different types of remunerations in that sense, be it performance based, a hybrid model, or fixed fee basis, CPA, CPM, whatever you take it. They're very flexible compared to any concrete platform where you only have a certain set of way to work with. And of course, they're very adaptable. All you need is, probably a certain set of brand, what do you call, a certain set of campaign brief or something, and influencers are very creative to get that things done. So it's very adaptable. So yeah, that's why I think we are we are very particular, and we always look forward to using influencer marketing as a very prime channel for a lot of brands, especially over the past couple of years at least.
Okay, yeah, and I guess like again, considering the high penetration rate of social media in the region, I encourage you to look at the data from data report from Simon Kemp, where you can see that when it comes to Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, essentially the whole country of the Southeast Asia region are really among the top leading country in terms of social media engagement. So I guess people spend a lot of time on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. And then back to what you mentioned earlier, Harry, they see really authentic content for probably it makes a lot of sense for them. So Carly, if we can, you are somehow an influencer. So how does that work, this collaboration? Like, can you explain for us, like, can you work us through a typical collaboration between a brand and you, in terms of how they approach you, how that work?
So the types of brands, so you understand the types of brands we're working with. We're working with lots of different hotels and villas. We're working with services such as Grab and Kloop, all different service providers throughout the island who may want to reach our audience there. And now those kind of discussions depend on what the client is looking for. If they're looking to promote a one-off event, that's going to look very different to wanting to create a longer-term partnership with us. So that's exactly right, that we can be very adaptable. So someone like, I'll give you the example for when we were working with Grab, is we came to them with our ideas when they wanted to work together, and we were like, we think this is what's missing, especially to target the expat audience within Indonesia, and that this is what's missing. And we came to them with our creative ideas of how we thought things could be presented and make the link, because at the end of the day, we need to stay authentic to our style. And I think that that's something you need to keep in mind with when you're working with influencers, is you may have an idea of what you want them to present to their audience, but they do know their audience better than you do. And they are coming from that creative base. So when you are doing that influencer marketing discussion, I find it's really important to listen to the influencer, to let them give you their feedback that, hey, my audience would love to see this. And it may look different to how you imagined your brand being portrayed on a channel. And I think that that is a big difference between going back traditional marketing and buying a page in a magazine. You probably put more of your brand standard and how you wanted things to look like. But I think with influencer marketing, if you want it to look very genuine, which is what works best, you need to really listen to the influencer on how they want to present your brand or product.
Yeah, because I guess you have like a very intimate understanding of what your audience is looking for. It's not just like a programmatic way, as you mentioned, like you put an ad and that's it. They're looking for something else, right?
Yes, yeah. So they're looking for that very personalized connection. And that's generally what happens with your audience when you are an influencer, is they will send you questions. They'll send you questions about the hotel before they'll send the hotel questions about the hotel. So I really related when you were speaking about, we give so much feedback to the brands, like going, hey, people want to see this, or they're asking questions about this. Which helps then inform the brands also on what they may be missing in their marketing as well.
And Carly, actually, you mentioned earlier that you have different social media channel. I know you also have your own blog. How do you differentiate the content that you post here and there? Um, is there a difference for you to go on Instagram rather than and TikTok or your blog?
Yes, definitely there's differences depending on what we're doing. So the blog, obviously, that's where it's very comprehensive. So anyone who clicks over to the blog, they're obviously the real action takers. They're they're going to be the ones ready to do their direct bookings. The ones on social media are sometimes the ones just gaining ideas and gathering their ideas, and they're the more higher funnel people there. But definitely our styles differentiate. Like on TikTok, we do a lot more voiceover, or a lot more captions, like text on video. Whereas Instagram, it's a lot more reels and really beautiful pictures and imagery. And on Facebook, we still find that still images with a link to something on our blog performs the best on there. And on YouTube, we do more longer form videos there. So that's once again about knowing who your audience is there. So on Facebook, our audience is very heavily Australian. On Instagram and TikTok, it's more heavily Asian. And also on YouTube there's more males. So, and whereas on the social channels, we're talking to more females. So we try to curate our content on each of those platforms to speak to those particular audiences.
Yeah, super interesting. So essentially, there's really one channel per, I mean, not one channel, but there could be one or multiple channel depending on your goal.
Yes.
Harry, how do you get that in? Is it something, I'm sure as an agency, you are mindful? How do you coordinate this different channel, this different, media property? Are you mindful of, I need this number of TikTok, I need this number of Instagram?
Um, I mean, there are multiple things that go into it. It's not just numbers anymore, but like Carly mentioned, I mean, like what you see from what her explanation is, she has multiple channels, and from each channel, there is different targeting of different audience segments.
Yeah.
So that is why when we work with influencers, it's not just, there are platforms which tell engagement rates, click-through levels of a certain influencer, but it's the influencer that actually gives us more feedback than anything with respect to numbers, you know. So in this example, if I want to target Australians, I know it's more on Facebook that I can work with Carly, for example. If it's more Southeast Asian, I know now that I know that she can work with TikTokers on TikTok, on YouTube, for example. So there's more feedback coming from the actual influencer, and we value more qualitative feedback. Quantitative helps in terms of numbers in filtering. If you're thinking about working with 20,000 influencers, or some of our brands actually have 20 30,000 influencers on their campaigns. In that case, it's very hard to work one by one. But if you're looking at sort of brand awareness kind of campaigns where you are like, I want as much brand awareness as possible, but I also want the right demographic to be reached out with that. If conversions come in, great. So in that case, yes, we don't just look at numbers. It's a lot of feedback that we ask from the influencer directly itself.
Okay. So thank you for that. So I understand really like it's more about demographic wise. Depending on the demographic, I'm gonna pick one or multiple, social media channel, and then mix and match depending on what I need. You touch a bit on that, Harry. I have constant question from brand actually who are, if influencer marketing, is it for top funnel or is it more like for brand awareness or is it more for performance from your perspective?
Um, all three, I would say. We generally, if you see, it's more of a mix kind of like it's versatile enough, and the kind of influencers that you work with really help you where your brand should go as well. If we can work at the brand awareness and engagement levels with, let's say, very large followers of influencers, the macro followers, for example, macro influencers, for example, um, example like a destination marketing campaign, you are not targeting a specific demographic per se, but you're targeting an entire country, and your campaign of as a tourism board, for example, if you have that, they want any people to actually come, and they're not targeting specific cities or anything. It's like, come to my country, right? So in that case, it's better to work on a brand awareness kind of a deal. Mid funnel, more niche, more consideration oriented. In that sense, mostly hotel chains does this. Like Carly mentioned earlier, the hotel chains do collaborate with influencers in that segment. They do a staycation series, etc., where the influencers can come up with showcasing their unique staycations, their properties, their videos of nearby visits out of their hotel homes, etc. So this is more detailed and experience focused. In that case, you're using the mid level, and then the lower funnel is mainly for conversions and sales, which are very, very niche kind of influencers. Micro usually works quite a bit with that. Travel agencies usually work with not usually, but travel agencies are predominantly would work on the lower funnel just because of how many, they can work with a lot of influencers, but at the same time, they would like to work with a wide range of travel bloggers, because when it comes from the agency, you are not only looking at, you're not selling a certain city, you're selling an entire package deal of an airline, of how do you go from the airport to your hotel. So, and then I need to curate certain packages about what you need to visit in, for example, in Bali, are you going to Ubud or are you going to Canggu? They have to look at multiple things. So for them, a single conversion is very, very important. And the value of the conversion is also very high. So they would rather work with travel bloggers in that sense. So you're looking at conversion sales at the bottom of the funnel. Basically with more credible influencers, I would say. Yeah. So we cover all the types at once, but really depends on what type of campaign it is, what are the goals of the specific campaign.
Sure. So I guess, Carly, is the same for you. If a client comes to you and say, I want to do brand awareness or I want to do performance for you, this is not really the question, right?
Yeah, it's not, for us, it depends. Like I said, for us, we are we promote a destination. And so we have all of the funnels happening at once. So for example, one of my clients is Klook, which is an experience booking app. And we're going through a campaign with them at the moment where it's a hybrid campaign. So we're obviously trying to build brand awareness and trust in booking your experiences in Bali via using that app. But we are also trying to get people to convert there and then by booking the particular experience that we are showcasing. So like the other day, we showcased an underwater dining experience that we went to, and we showcased, oh wow, did you know you could do this, and this is where you can book it, and we did give them the link. So obviously we do want to see conversions there, but we've also got people who are 6-12 months out from visiting to Bali, so they're just gathering their ideas, and they're more on that higher funnel, and we wouldn't expect them to come back to that particular reel or post to book that experience. We'd expect them to kind of note that or add that to their list and then go back and book that on their own later.
Okay, got it. So essentially, really like you will come. I mean, different type of content for different type of purpose. But I guess my question then will be, I guess different type of campaign, different type of content, different type of fees, right? Maybe you can explain a bit more around how they work?
How our fee structures work? Yeah, so we have so many different options depending on where you want exposure. Some people just want exposure on really high-ranking SEO travel articles, right? So if we've gone and written about the area of Cedarman and you've got a resort in Cedarman, they're like, hey, we want to be mentioned on that article. So that's one way of working together. Other people just want social exposure, and they're like, we just want you to talk about our brand on your social media. Some people will want an overall package where they get exposure on each of our channels, and that's where we really customize something to them. From our perspective, we have, cookie cutter, like cut and paste media rates that you can see examples from, but we will always advise. When we connect with a brand or a service, we say, what do you want? Who do you want to reach? What do you want from us? And then we will tailor, what kind of budget are you looking around? And we can tell you then what will get you the best for your money. Like some people will come to us and say, we just want more Instagram followers on our Instagram account, and we want to use you to help us. So then we would then suggest doing a giveaway together that we host that requires the follower to follow the business's account in order to gain entry. So there's lots of different ways to work together depending on what your goal is at the end. And by providing a media kit, it gives people an idea of a ballpark of our rates, because it can be very confusing with influencers. Some charge a little and some charge a whole lot. So by giving you the media kit, it kind of gives you an idea of our ballpark, but generally we always end up customizing something to suit that particular client we're working with.
Okay, so if I just recap and make sure I understand it well,
Yes.
you can engage an influencer and this through different ways depending on the type of campaign. It could go as simple as just like a giveaway, sort of a PR kit sort of engagement.
Yep.
It could be also typical like pay per performance. It can be also more like for impressions, or it's going to be like more related to the typical brand awareness campaign, or a mix of all of
Both.
them, yeah, or both actually. Okay.
And then
Yeah.
remuneration wise, it can be if the brand or travel service has an affiliate program set up, generally we set up what we call a hybrid agreement where there's, affiliate earnings for conversions, but then there's also a paid component for the content creation that we're doing. So we call them hybrid agreements.
Would you mind actually to explain our audience what is an hybrid model and why actually an influencer required to be paid for the content and not be paid only on performance?
So, because like we were talking about before, that what we do can be right from the top of the funnel down to the bottom. If we only get paid on performance, obviously we lose a lot of that conversion through the people that we've reached at the top level. So, for example, if I go back to using the example of Klook, and people have seen, oh, we saw on Bali Buddies, they went here with Klook, they went here with Klook, and they've downloaded the Klook app. When they're ready to book in 3 months' time, that's never going to be traced back to us because the cookie is dead by then. So in actual fact, we've driven the client or the customer to that product, but there's no way of tracing it after that long amount of time. So that's why we work on a hybrid, because we are targeting people from the top of the funnel right down. So we get remunerated for bookings that we can close there and then for those people who might be on the island right now, or they're 2 weeks from coming out on the island. They're like, oh, I'm going to book that right now. Great. And they can trace that back to us. But because we do a lot of that brand awareness stuff as well, we need to take a fee for that as well, because we're creating specific content for that brand.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And I guess, Harry, back to you, I will say that I imagine that knowing you work as you lead the affiliate business of Group M in the region. I guess a good affiliate campaign cannot be dissociated from a brand awareness campaign at some point. Like you need some brand recognition to make it work. Is that correct?
100%. We do need it. It really depends on the brand as well. If it's a big airline, there is less of brand awareness that is required there because most people would anyway know it. It boils down to the lower end of the funnel. If we are talking about a new entrant in the market, a new low-cost airline that came in, new destination that wants to invest money in getting more people visit them. There are certain things, or a new hotel chain that opened a hotel chain that opened a new location. In these kind of ones, probably you require more brand awareness, basically because people need information rather than an experience. So this is where you invest in the top of the funnel quite a bit. But like Kali mentioned, I think the best model would be a hybrid model, just because I think it gives the brand the edge to also track how the performance is, because most of the influencer partnerships that we do, or the brands do, go on for not just one campaign and they die. If the performance is really good and it's giving a certain amount of output, they really are partners for extended periods of time, going into years. So to have that maintained, we really look at the hybrid model is the best, because not only are you helping the influencer who's driving value to your business, but you're also remunerating for how much business also they drive in. So it's a fine balance between the both.
Okay, yeah, so fair. So essentially, yeah, the content. So we give them the money for the content they produce, which help the brand, and then we pay they also on performance. And I guess better the content is, more performant it will drive. So they will win also a bit of commission on the performance front. Harry, you mentioned in a few, you talked earlier about different type of influencers, the mega influencers, celebrities and the micro influencer. What is the best type of influencer we should work with, or is there any best type of influencer we should work with?
Um, I mean, if you could get mega influencers on a dime, then yes, that'll be the best time, but that doesn't work, right? So I think it really depends on the type of campaign, not even the brand, not even the type of brand. It more depends on what is that specific campaign at that particular period of time. It because trends change so fast. Even for the influencers, somebody goes really viral and ends up from having 100,000 followers to a million followers in like a day or a week even. And the same thing happens in the reverse as well. So it's hard to put do we want a certain mega influencer or anything, but it depends on what type of campaign it is. So if you're looking at large scale wellness, we typically work with mega influencers because they have a lot of reach, they have high visibility, less engagement though, or maybe not the right target audience. But it's okay if there's a new hotel chain that came up. It's probably best to have a million followers know about it, and the conversions come later. Maybe macro influencers, they have a good balance of reach and engagement. They have a defined niche that they work with. You're not just working in travel, but also in finance and insurance and travel insurance, for example, in that sort of niches. Can be a tad bit expensive, as not expensive as mega influencers, but it could still be there because I because in most cases they would still prefer to they are getting into the mega influencer spectrum, so they would still want to retain their I want a fixed fee kind of a model there. So it's when there's a rainbow effect there, blurring the lines. Macro influencers work really really well in that sense because they reach a significant number of potential customers, and more niche in that sense. Then micro influencers, good conversion rate, micro and nano both for that matter, very good conversion rates. Niche audiences, more family oriented, relationship oriented. They tend to portray their personality and lifestyle in a more authentic fashion, to their audience rather than mega influencers who have um, certain brand elements and certain persona that they need to show in their content. So yeah, though it's a limited reach, very good for conversion, very good for those trusted reviews, trusted advisor kind of. Um, I would even say something like recently we worked on a healthcare tourism company from the government of Malaysia itself, and healthcare and tourism. Healthcare tourism in itself is very very uh, it's a very personal subject. People who want to visit from markets that they don't get healthcare into Malaysia to get a very good coverage and a service, they need to know authentic reviews and authentic feedback because they're coming for healthcare for their personal ones, loved ones. In that case, micro nano influencers make more sense because they are very personalized. So there's no one size fits all in that sense, but we the brands do give a chance to work with everybody depending on what the campaign is at that point of time, what the goal is, what the budget is, what type of audience do you want, and are you niche or more broader segment kind of. But yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if I understand, well, just to summarize, my understanding is like mega influencer or celebrities are more for some sort of a reach where, so I'm an hotel brand.
Correct.
As you mentioned, there's a new location, so I want the people to be aware of it. So I need to go with people with, high reach, etc. And they're gonna help me to, yeah, to get that coverage. I can complement that with micro and nano influencer who are gonna add some more frequency to this message to really amplify the message. Um, but if I'm really looking now, my hotel is very well known. If I'm just looking for sales, I will probably more go for nano and micro because they have a more sort of authentic and genuine um, connection with the audience, and people believe in the on review. Uh, so it comes to another question for me is like, assuming now I work with nano and micro influencer, I don't want to work with only one or two. I will probably need more. how do I track that? Do I need Google Sheet? Can I use GTM tag? Or do you need to use a technology? So, full disclosure here, Impact is a influencer technology. So what is the threshold for you to switch from this sort of manual tracking to some sort of more automated tracking?
Um, I think Google Sheets, yeah, I think it does have its limitations, right? At one influencer, maybe I would say it's very hard to track, especially coming from an agency side of things, where brands, where we work with a few hundred to a few thousand influencers. Anything on Excel or Google Sheets or anything for the matter doesn't really cut the bill, just because it is very time consuming. Tracking is almost impossible in that sense and prone to human errors. Maybe you may miss a digit and round it off and pay somebody less money or more money than what it actually is. And I think most of the brands that we work with are, at least from the agency side of things, they are very big and very complex. Airlines, for example, the number of routes they have, they just don't have flights. They have hotels, they have student offers, they work with travel agencies. So having that kind of complex integrations being possible to set up and having all of these campaigns be seamlessly given to, let's say, 2000 influencers at one point of time, we will require the technology that it provides. Thankfully, tracking platforms, they are quite a worthy investment in a sense. They form a very small percentage of the overall budget, so they're not really hurting the pocket of anybody. But we do use quite a bit of tracking, Impact being one of them, to track everything from a very traditional affiliate partner like cashback sites and deals and loyalty sites to an influencer down the bottom funnel where it's a micro or nano influencers, irrespective of how big the affiliate is or how small the affiliate is. We do track everything up to a single conversion and a single cent as well. So we really need that level of accountability to the brand as well. So we do use the specialized technology platform. Like Impact helps us with a lot of automated tracking, a bit of advanced analytics, bringing in AI into the game as well. It helps our teams as well to actually use less of manual effort into how the campaign should be made or produced in a sense, because we use AI in that sense as well. And more efficient, easily scalable. If tomorrow a certain airlines launches a new low-cost carrier, most airlines do. Malaysian Airlines has Firefly, for example. If we need to launch the affiliate marketing campaign for Firefly, makes it so much easier. It's more of a plug and play kind of. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So yeah, essentially, if you want to have an accurate tracking, at some point, Google Sheet and GTM will be difficult to scale and to tracking. Sorry, Kylie, from your perspective, tracking, is it something important for you also to get transparency on the tracking, to know where your commission are going, where they're from, etc.?
Absolutely. For us, that's one of the biggest things. And I think I also do consulting to brands as well. And what I say as well is you need those reports, and it should be something more sophisticated than a Google Sheet. We use, depending on the brand we're working with, depends on what we use. But even if it's a smaller brand or a smaller company, we will use technology that links directly to our social accounts and our website, and they're live reporting tools. So as the engagement or the reach goes up, so does the reporting tool. And I think at this day and age, that's what everybody should be expecting from working with influencers. It shouldn't just be an honesty system or just be a screenshot. I think reporting tools should be live and they should be tracked. At the beginning, when people were using influencers, it was very messy and very hard to tell if people had real followers or fake followers. now those types of things are very easy to see, and you should be expecting, if you are doing a collaboration with an influencer, I would be expecting that you would get back a live report to see just how far and where all of your branding has gone through that campaign.
And I guess also for you, it makes sense to have access to this live reporting in a way that it helps you also to get a constant and sort of direct feedback from you activation into, from the activation to the optimization in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll sit with my sales managers and we will have a look at different campaigns and go, hey, that one didn't go so well. Why? What do we need to change? And that will also be a conversation with the brand then as well. Listen, we're going to change the track of this a little bit because it hasn't hit the spot where we thought it would. So let's do something. Let's do something different there. And I can give you a direct example of that. Grab wanted us to help promote their lounge at the airport to try and encourage more people to know that they have a lounge at the airport and you can get straight off the airplane and go to the Grab lounge and order. And they wanted us to come in and film a reel there, which we did, film like a very professional reel showing coming off from the airport to going to there. But I said, hey, let me try something else too. And I filmed a very more organic one where I was leaving the airport myself and just filmed my hand and put little captions. And that one blew up to over 3 million reach, whereas the other one was set around, 10,000 reach. So like Harry was saying, things change and your approach needs to change. And if you are, which is what we always aim towards with our clients, is to make it more of a longer term thing than a one-off thing, is you need those live tracking tools, and us as the influencer need to be looking at them, and you as the business need to be looking at them as well. And you need to change with the trends as they change.
Yeah, this thank you for that. And actually, you talk about something I think it's really cool to realize that the brand briefed you with something, you came up with something different, which actually outperform what was initially planned. How do you we talk about that, but how do you actually feedback? How do you communicate with the brand? Because we talk about metrics, we talk about contract, we talk about content, but I believe it's all of that is a relationship between an influencer and a brand. How do you communicate with your brand, or how do you feedback? Do you call them? Do you email them? How does that work?
That depends on depends on the brand. For our bigger clients, we'll have monthly check-ins. We will talk about the delivery for the next month and how the delivery has gone for the previous month and what we want to do next and how we want to strategize that. If it's a one-off giveaway with a brand, we'll send them a report and that's probably it. We're done with them then, and say, let us know if you want to come back and do some more. So it depends on who we're working with. If it's we're going to do an experience stay at a hotel, and generally that will be a package where we do an Instagram story series while we're there. We create a reel for after our stay. We create a TikTok, and then we write a review stay blog. Then we'll check back with them after about a month and give them an update on how everything is gone, and also then give them our feedback as well on our stay and what we liked about it and what we think that they could probably do a little bit better.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So really depending on the type of relationship that you have with the brand, and with some of them, it could be a very extensive sort of collaboration with really in-depth feedback. But when it's just a one-off, then obviously there's not much to feedback.
Yeah, that's right. They get their report and thank you very much. Especially if it's something like a giveaway, it's easy. You run the giveaway, you give them their live tracking report so they can see everything. Everything's tied up. The winner's got their prize, and then that's done then.
Harry, on that note, earlier you mentioned you work sometimes with thousands of influencers. So are you gonna talk to every single influencer, or how do you differentiate the influencers again, are you talking with all of them, only a few of them?
Oh, that's a very good question. So there are certain types of programs that we run from a brand perspective. Some of the brands have open programs, which means they allow any type of affiliate to come and join and promote. Mostly, if you're looking at finance programs or fashion, predominantly, etc. Then you have certain type of programs where it is closed, which means not every affiliate can actually promote it. It is very selective. In that case, it is a one-on-one reach to the influencer actually, because the bucket of influencers, in the previous one, the influencers apply and then we filter them out. In this one, we are the ones that actually reach out to the influencers. We are the one that put the effort into actually finding who the right fit would be. So yes, both depends on what type of a program the brand is doing. So the communication really depends on. We prefer the second one because we get to work with influencers more closely, one-on-one, get to work on specific curated and creative campaigns. It is mostly the communication is mostly through email, or we straight up DM them on the first cold reach, which is the cold outreach as well. But if it's the other model where the influencers apply to the brand and we are pretty much selective, most of the platforms, including Impact, for example, have a chat button and you can directly use that as the official line of communication with the influencer.
Okay, thank you. So again, I think what you guys explain here is really like the power and the importance of the relationship between this key influencer and your brand, and you need to have a sort of a very open line of communication to weaken and change whatever is required on the fly, because it's not something rigid, it's something very fluid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Harry, I just wanted to, before we, I've realized that it's almost 1 hour that we keep talk about this topic, and thank you for that. But assuming tomorrow, you got let's say an hotel chain or an airline coming your way and saying, okay, I want to set up an influencer program. Is there any, essential tips, strategy, or thing that they need to bear in mind to make sure that they're going to be successful? Do you have any tip for them?
Yes, I think the first one is to audit what happened in the past. Have they actually worked with influencer in the past? Is it one? Is it two? Is it 100? What happened? If it is a fresh start, it's of course easier, but at the same time, we don't have data if it is a fresh start. If they already work with influencer in the past, we take into consideration a lot of experiences and audit how they have been. So I think if you're asking specific for tips for a certain airline brand, I would say to look at what destinations the airline is actually flying to and what destinations are what are the upcoming destinations. Most of the airlines also work on a code share basis, meaning combining with other airlines, local aircrafts, if there are multiple ways through the customer journey. So we really look into specific destination that they want to promote. So the tips would be to find influencers that are very specialized for cities rather than countries, which means you're going micro and nano rather than macro level. Because in this case, you're not looking at brand awareness, especially if it is a major airline like Malaysian Airways or Virgin or British Airways in that sense. So we specifically filtering out who are the best influencers for that specific location. If Malaysian Airlines, for example, is flying to Tokyo, are there any influencers there that are very specific to this? Even better if there's an influencer that frequently flies between Tokyo and Malaysia or anything for that matter, or uses this airline as one of the things. But I would focus more on the mid to bottom funnel rather than the top funnel at this point. Yeah.
Okay, so auditing what has been done already, being mindful of the top performer per route per se, and then have a very um, deep understanding and then engagement with that influencer for that specific route. Okay, so that was the sort of airline consideration, brand consideration. Currently, a brand is coming to you and say, "I want to work with you." Um, is there anything that they need to have in mind to make sure that they're going to be successful?
Oh, lots of things. So for starters, even us as the influencer, we need to make sure that a brand or a service we're working with aligns with our audience. So it doesn't just mean because you're offering money that we would just say yes. It has to match our audience because that's actually where our value lays, is that we've built trust over all these years with our audience. It wouldn't matter how much money you offered us if it's not a match for our audience, then that's straight away a no. So the first thing we do when a brand comes to us is we have a look at the brand. We do everything, we Google reviews on them and we talk about it within our team and see if it's a fit for our team and what we would like to promote. And then we start the discussions around what kind of budget are they looking at and what kind of things are they looking for us to do. And then from there, sometimes for us, they would like to just provide us with some content for us to manipulate ourselves. So they may be already providing us. They might say, hey, we've already got really great reels, but we want you to post them with your words and things like that. So that's obviously then a different cost to if they want us to go in and film it themselves. So if you're providing content to an influencer, it's obviously then tips for success are to have content that really matches their exposure and how they want to use it. But also being open to the feedback on how I discussed this a little bit before, but how the influencer wants to promote your brand or your service. I think that is really important, and not going in with hey, we've got this artwork and we want you to promote, and we're like, no, artwork doesn't work. Like, people aren't going to respond to your flyer. This needs to be more like this. So I think that's definitely a big key tip, is trust that the influencer you're working with knows their audience better than you do.
It's coming back to, I think the key element of this conversation is really like the relationship that you have with this influencer. They know the audience better than you do as a brand, and you need to rely on the expertise of their own audience to run a campaign. Because I guess also on your hand, you mentioned that you don't want to take any sort of campaign because you need to preserve, as Harry described earlier, as the authenticity of the content that you're putting out there.
Yeah. So it's just, any good influencer should be saying no almost as many times as they're saying yes, because you get all types of crazy deals thrown at you and things asked of you all the time. And definitely not all of them are going to align with your brand if you've created a really trusting audience on your recommendations.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you. On last question before we wrap up, I just wanted I have it's more a personal question for you guys about, you touched a bit on that earlier about different channel for different group of people. What are your views, Kali, about Southeast Asia and the way we should run campaign across Southeast Asia? I mean, targeting Southeast Asia country. Would you say that we can run, one campaign for the whole region, and there's no nuance to be taken into account per market? Would you say that, because Southeast Asia from the Western perspective, essentially we have some foreign brand on this, webinar, and they will have the tendency to believe that because we keep talking about Southeast Asia, so Southeast Asia is Southeast Asia at all? That's my question, essentially.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think you can just run one campaign, because the behavior of people in even just in Indonesia, from Bali to Jakarta, it's a different approach depending who you're trying to get, let alone then targeting somebody from Singapore or from Malaysia. You need to understand what those audiences like, where they like to interact, which platform they like to interact on, and what type of content they like to see. I'll give you an example for when we're targeting, not out of Southeast Asia, but when we're targeting Australian audiences to come to Indonesia is, they are very much focused on not so edited images, using real life people and not so much models in shoots and in campaigns. And that's very different to when we're trying to target the Jakartan crowd, because they very much like to see a model, someone who looks quite perfect, and they like things to be edited and a bit more perfect. So even within our own platforms as influencers, depending who we're trying to target, depends on the type of content we will outlay there. So definitely as a brand, just saying I want to target people from Southeast Asia and having a one package fits all is not going to give you the best value there.
All right. Thank you. Harry, would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Each country is very different with its own set of languages and cultures. And like Kali mentioned, like Indonesia, it's spread across with 10,000 islands there. So you could totally even dissect each country into different segments there as well. So yeah, it's a very wonderful region to actually have influencer marketing in, because you do not have one set of influencers or one type of influencers working throughout the entire region, but you have a variety of them working across different countries, different sectors. And also what that gives from a brand perspective is a lot of choice, a lot of ways to work with. We believe that everybody can be a partner if you know how to work with them. So in that sense, if whether it is whether we need to look at influencers in Thailand for an airline company, or in Philippines for an insurance company, or in Vietnam for a pet care food product, for example. So there is something for everybody, every brand in Southeast Asia. So it's the beauty of the place on the kind of choice it gives when it comes to influencer marketing. It is not something even the brands struggle to have it as well. Like, how can we have one strategy that works for every different country? And it just doesn't, which is why we're also here, right? So in that sense, yes, a lot of choices on the plate, but also one of the most complex regions to work in. But influencer marketing thriving very well with the advent of TikTok, especially with the advent of even the marketplaces trying to do something similar to TikTok now. Even Zara, Shopee having Reels, even them having Shopee Video, for example. There are multiple platforms also giving opportunities to budding influencers and budding entrepreneurs. So the strategy doesn't really fit like one country, one kind of. So we need to look at multiple channels, multiple types. You could be a macro influencer on YouTube, but a micro influencer on TikTok, for example. So it really is, you have choices for every brand, and every brand has a choice to select any kind of influencer for this region. So very good region to work in.
Okay, cool. Last question for me, Harry. I think you touched a bit on that, but what are in your opinion, some of the emerging trends in influencer marketing that a travel brand should be aware of for this region?
Yeah, for this region, I think
or in general.
For this region, I think the advent of TikTok, for example, changed the game, not just on what TikTok is originally, but also the fact that it now has an e-commerce platform, for example. So not only is it giving the chance of everyday, not only is it giving a chance to everyday people that were buyers before, now they can actually earn money. When I'm buying on TikTok, why can't I just review very simply what I buy and probably make money out of it. So the number of influencers that we have in any certain brand, for example, shot by 10x over the past 1 year alone. We were more used to working with hundreds to thousands, and we never worked with hundreds before. It's always in the thousands of influencers that we have been working with over the past 1 year. So more choices is always very good. The trend is moving towards social commerce quite a bit. Brands know how important influencer marketing is, and now it's also good to have new players in the market that are using social commerce and having the platforms work for them. We will see this uptick very, very good, especially in Indonesia, where TikTok being partnering with the Tokopedia and everything, changing the game there. Other markets are closely watching, including from the agency as well, on how this changes the ball game in that market, how can it leak into the other markets as well, and also very fascinating next couple of years to watch out for, and we should all be ready to take a piece of the pie, basically.
Cool, thank you. Kylie, do you have any trend, or prediction for influencer marketing and travel?
I definitely think TikTok is, especially when we're talking about Southeast Asia, is the one to watch. Not only because of the conversion now that you can purchase things straight from the shop there, but even the search factor. The behavior of a lot of the younger audience is they're researching on TikTok rather than on Google, and that is a massive consumer change. That when they want to look at the best restaurant in Seminyak, they may have Googled it before, but a lot of the younger generation will go straight to TikTok and just search directly on that platform. So that is a big change. That's something that Instagram hasn't been able to do as well, and TikTok seems to be really leading the way in that space. So I definitely think that's something to watch out for. And of course, just the way that trends are changing, I find that the younger generation now are more about the be real, and they want things to be more real and authentic. And there's a definite move away from very edited content when it comes to socials, that they trust it more when it's very real and there's less filters and there's less editing. That's that younger generation coming through now. So I think it's important to always be going back and re-engaging the younger generation, because they're coming through as your next sales leads. And you need to understand, the different ways that people like to look at things. So for me, when I'm targeting my 30 plus, I'm still very focused on my blogs, because they feel very comfortable to go to Google and look that up and read there. When I'm looking at my younger audience and engaging a new younger audience, I'm very much focused on TikTok at the moment, and getting that younger audience to start following us there.
Yeah. I saw there's a report which has been posted on that about the Gen Z searching on TikTok rather than Google. But definitely, I think, I'm old. I still use Google. I don't use TikTok yet. So you're right. I'm in the 30 plus bucket. Harry, Kylie, really massive thank you. I learned a lot today, and I hope people on this webinar will also learn a lot. We unpack so much about, around the type of influencer, the type of contracting, the tracking, the communication. But actually, I think the most important thing, if I have one thing to highlight today, I would say really the communication factor is definitely one of the most decisive factor in the success of your influencer marketing. And so we'll be wrapping up our panel session here. If the audience today has any question for any of our panelists, or even just want to connect with them over LinkedIn, we will follow up with an email with more details. Otherwise, I hope you guys also enjoy, today's session, and have a wonderful rest of the day ahead. Thank you again, Harry and Kylie, and see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It's a pleasure. Thanks, Antoine.